First tonight on Our News Weekend, another fire breaks out in the capital, the flames visible for miles. We've got the latest on the second blaze in less than 48 hours, plus more from Thursday night's fire. Also, a community in shock after a 31-year-old man loses his life in a tragic incident late Friday. Relatives are speaking out. And former president of the Senate and former leader of the opposition, J. Henry Bostwick, has died. This is Our News Weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall in for Megan Shepard. As the Catholic Church observes a national day of mourning for Pope Francis, a special memorial mass was held last evening at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral, giving thanks for his life and ministry. But concerns mount here in the capital as two men were killed in separate violent incidents overnight. We'll get to those stories in a moment, but first, another fire has erupted. It's the second blaze in less than 48 hours in New Providence. This time, the flames were raging behind the Rupert's gas station on Shirley Street Saturday afternoon, visible for miles. When our news team arrived, we saw that a bush next to an Airbnb complex was completely engulfed in flames. The fire trucks were already on the scene and police had cordoned off the area. But take a look at this unusual scene. On top of the roof of the Airbnb complex, a visitor from the Czech Republic, Michael, who didn't give his last name, was seen hosing down the roof, trying to prevent any damage to the property. Michael, who is staying in a nearby Airbnb, says he didn't hesitate to help out.
At the moment we heard some noise, some guy was screaming on the street. We were like, oh, this is Bahamas or what's happening? We didn't know that we are in the danger, so we went out and he said that there is a fire on the backyard. So we just packed our stuff. I just knocked on all of the doors because this is Airbnb, and I just took all the hosts out, texted the owner, and that's what happened. Like, we just tried to manage the fire before the firefighters came, and now we are still trying to protect the property. Yeah, I was on the roof because, the wind was blowing, and we tried to get wet the roof and protect the house.
Now, police tell us the fire department responded to the blaze and successfully extinguished the flames. The area is now being monitored for any further risks. Unfortunately, no residential property was damaged in the incident. Well, almost 2 days after that massive fire damaged a structure on Bay Street, traffic is still being diverted, and nearby businesses are still feeling the impact. Our Daniel Miller visited the scene this afternoon.
We returned to the scene of Thursday night's Bay Street fire, where the street is still blocked off. And as you can see behind me, the buildings have been reduced to nothing but mere rubble. Several buildings affected by the fire now stand as shells of what they once were. While on the scene, police officers told motorists the road closure is a precaution due to the debris, including concerns about punctured tires and other hazards. One of the affected businesses, Claire Boat Bahamas Adventures, operates out of the Elizabeth on Bay Plaza, just across the street from where the fire broke out. Co-founder Lincoln Deal shares their operations weren't heavily impacted.
No, bookings are still good. We've just pivoted in terms of redirecting our tourists to meet us at a different location point.
However, the co-founder reveals the fire had a personal impact on one of their team members.
So unfortunately, one of our team members was temporarily displaced. They lived at the unit that was on fire. And so as a company, we're trying our best to assist them as best as we can.
And despite the circumstances, Deal says there's still a lot to be grateful for.
We're keeping them in prayers, as well as everyone else who may be temporarily displaced because of the fire, but thankfully no lives were lost.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Now turning to crime, this has tragedy struck a Kemp Road community late Friday night after the life of a 31-year-old man was cut short. Relatives on the scene remembered him as a family man who mostly kept to himself. Our Berthany McDermott was on the scene.
I hurt. And it's really home right now. We never had no close death in my family like that. That's why you see them crying like that.
It was an emotional scene early Saturday morning as the grief-stricken family of 31-year-old Elroy Roll grappled with the devastating reality that their loved one was gunned down outside a family home. His heartbroken sister, Raquel Roach, described him as a devoted family man, the first of 3 brothers.
A few friends, which is like our neighbors and thing like that. He don't bother, like I say. And he love family. That's it. He don't be out here. He don't party, nothing. He always home. The most he might do is go around the corner by my Grammy and right here by my cousin Sam.
Roach said her brother was employed and washed cars in his spare time to make extra cash, insisting he was not a troublemaker. Police say they received a call about the shooting and quickly responded. When officers arrived, they found Roll in the road with multiple gunshot wounds. Police press liaison officer Chief Superintendent Shreya King gave this update.
Our investigators have done their preliminary investigations, and what they have learned thus far is that the male was visiting family members, relatives in the area. He exited the residence and approached his vehicle when 2 males opened fire on the deceased, fatally wounding him. The suspects fled on foot in a northerly direction.
King assuring residents of the area police are present in communities to prevent incidents like this from happening.
What I've learned from our operation unit is that just 15 minutes before this incident happened, they patrolled this exact street. So know that the police is out there and they are doing their patrols, they are doing their mandated work, and that we will continue to do that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Still on the crime beat, this as a deadly fight overnight has left 1 man dead and another at the center of a police investigation. It happened just before 1 a.m. at a business on Fox Hill Road, where 2 men reportedly got into an argument. That dispute quickly turned violent, and one of the men was stabbed. The 34-year-old victim was taken to hospital in a private vehicle, but he didn't survive. Police are now appealing to the public for help. If you saw what happened or have any information that could assist officers, you're urged to contact police at telephone numbers 911 or 919 or call Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Well, Prime Minister Philip Davis met with business leaders from across multiple sectors Thursday morning ahead of the upcoming fiscal budget presentation at the end of the month. That's according to Communications Director Latrey Raming. The high-level meeting also included Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard and Deputy Leader Shannon Cartwright. Raming says the session aimed to update businesses on key government policies and to get feedback.
The Prime Minister, ahead of the budget, wanted to give a high-level overview of the fiscal and monetary aspects of the country. So he provided an update and got some feedback from the business community in reference to the government's policy and the government's response, and what's going to be the government's focus heading into the budget.
Now, the business community has been vocal about the ongoing global tariff wars and how it's fueling trade instability, with potential ripple effects for the Bahamian economy. The issue began when the Trump administration imposed aggressive tariffs on several countries, including the Bahamas. While the country recently avoided added fees on shipments of Chinese containers, questions remain about what new policies could emerge and how they may impact the local economy. The Prime Minister's meeting came just before his scheduled meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C.
That comprise a number of real estate developers, construction agencies, number of the banks as well, major wholesaler, major retailers, doctors, hospitals, just an example, major pension funds, insurance companies, Chamber of Commerce is from the various islands, Exuma, Eleuthera, Nassau. So it was a wide cross-section of different persons who were attending.
With measles outbreak emerging across parts of the United States, the Bahamas is ramping up its efforts to protect its most vulnerable. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has launched an aggressive immunization campaign targeting children and adults who may have missed their shots. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the concern is growing, especially with direct commercial flights between the Bahamas and several high-risk U.S. states.
Measles are popping up in many states in the United States, and we have direct flights from those states. And so we have gone on an all-out alert throughout the country to demonstrate that we are serious about getting those who are not immunized in order for us to reach herd immunity and protect our kids and our tourism sector, because all it takes is 1 or 2 imported cases, which we have to report, to come to the countries like Turks and Caicos Island, Belize, and once these cases are reported, it creates a problem in the country. And we want to make sure that if we do have imported cases of measles, our kids are protected.
To stay ahead of any potential outbreak, the ministry has activated a strategic response plan.
And so you will see us on the road going door to door. We had an event, I think on Saturday at the Mall Marathon. We had about 45 nurses on the ground on the weekend going door to door, and it's going extremely well. Our job is to get the immunization rate up. Our first dose is around 86%. Our second dose is not to the point where we want it, and we're going behind those who have missed the second dose.
And now on a sad note, a political giant and legal trailblazer has died. J. Henry Bostwick, former president of the Senate, former leader of the opposition, and a founding figure in the Free National Movement, passed away this morning at Doctors Hospital. His wife, Dame Janet Bostwick, in a statement said, quote, "After a long illness, my husband was called to forever be with the Lord." End quote. She added the family is grateful for their years together and proud of his committed service to the country. Opposition leader Michael Pintard called Bostwick a champion of democracy and a freedom fighter, while former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said Bostwick made an extraordinary contribution to the F&M. Bostwick died at the age of 86. Funeral arrangements will be announced at a later date. Well, the Catholic Church observing a national day of mourning for Pope Francis. A special memorial mass was held Friday evening at the St. Francis Xavier Cathedral. Our Daniel Miller was there.
Following the funeral of His Holiness, Pope Francis, Catholics around the world are observing 9 days of mourning to commemorate his life. Here at home, a solemn memorial mass in thanksgiving for the late pontiff's life and ministry was held at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral Friday evening. The sanctuary was filled with the aroma of spiritual incense as hundreds of members gathered for the sacred service. Dozens of clergymen and several government officials attended, including Governor General Cynthia Pratt, Prime Minister Philip Davis, Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell, and others, all there to pay their final respects to a global spiritual leader remembered for his humility, grace, and commitment to peace.
There is a canonical requirement for every Catholic bishop, like myself, to make a personal appearance before the Holy Father once every 5 years and to give an account of the state of his diocese. This is called the ad limina apostolorum visit, the visit to the threshold, the doorstep of the apostles. It's normally a very formal event. With Pope Francis, though, he insisted that me and my fellow bishops, making our ad limina, should be brought into his library. When we got there, he asked that we speak with him as brothers.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
When Our News Weekend comes back from the break, a seaplane that could save lives. The team behind a growing air ambulance service explains how they're helping locals and visitors who may find themselves in an emergency. Also, students, 100 of them, getting a crash course in business and innovation. The Tourism Development Corporation's first ever youth symposium, inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. That's all coming up when Our News Weekend returns.
Diet-friendly special.
Medical emergencies can happen just about anywhere, and there's a seaplane designated for evacuation services for locals or guests that may find themselves in crisis out on the water or remote locations. In December 2022, Tropic Ocean Airways and Reva Air Ambulance forged an alliance to offer such services, and so far they've conducted more than 100 medical evacuations. The team at Tropic Ocean tells us the unique details of this air ambulance.
So we are the first company that I know of on this side of the globe that has actually outfitted a seaplane into a flying ICU. And being able to literally land anywhere and access these private islands that are extremely inaccessible throughout any day of the week, pretty much.
The aircraft has the capability to also carry out rescue missions near yachts, cruise ships, even resorts. Chris Davey is captain and director of safety and training at Tropic Ocean Airways. He says although he's a pilot, he had to undergo A-level medical training to ensure that during intense rescue missions, he and his colleagues are equipped for medical situations.
We very carefully look at where we are collecting the patient, and we analyze not just the weather from an aviation perspective, but because we're landing on the water, we are looking at the tides and the sea conditions as well to make sure that it's safe for us to do the mission in terms of landing and taking off with the patient from that place.
All right, very informative. Well, more than 100 students from public and private schools across New Providence came together for a day of inspiration and empowerment this week. They participated in the Tourism Development Corporation's inaugural Youth Entrepreneurial Symposium. The event, held at the Bahamas Training Agency on Gladstone Road, marked a milestone as junior and senior high school students were introduced to the world of entrepreneurship, from idea generation to accessing capital. Leading the charge was TDC CEO and Executive Director Ian Ferguson.
The goal was to get the room filled with students from both our junior and senior high schools in New Providence, again, public and private sector, and to really encourage them, to nudge them, to empower them towards entrepreneurship, finding the ability, even the capital, to be able to start enterprise.
And Ferguson says it's never too early to start thinking like an entrepreneur, and that cultivating these skills in high school can open doors for future success. He added initiatives like this help students understand that great ideas can begin right now in the classroom or even at home. And this students from L.W. Young Junior High is doing just that with handmade goods.
Being a newbie, I mean, it's just experience to say that we're doing something. We're making a difference in the Bahamas, of course. We're starting off our life, so we need opportunities, which I really appreciate. The people of entrepreneurship business class appreciate it too, and we just love it a lot.
All right, such a great effort. Still to come on Our News Weekend, Tea Party with a Purpose. Church leaders and advocates in Grand Bahama come together to send a powerful message about inclusion and support for the disabled community.
Buddy Hield and the Warriors played in a pivotal playoff game last night, and we have the recap next on Our Sports Weekend.
Diet-friendly special.
Good evening, welcome to Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. Buddy Hield and the Golden State Warriors had the chance to advance to the second round of the NBA playoffs last night against the Houston Rockets. Unfortunately for them, they came up short. Buddy and the gang fell 115-107 to the Houston Rockets in the Bay last night. The shooter from Grand Bahama started the game, but he was held scoreless in 17 minutes of play, going 0 for 4 from the field. Steph Curry tried to will the team to a win, scoring 29 points and grabbing 7 rebounds, and Jimmy Butler had 29, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. But the Warriors were stymied by the Rockets' physical play and the shot making of Fred VanVleet, who had 29, 8, and 8. And just like that, everything is on the line for Buddy and the Warriors as they'll play for their lives tomorrow night in Game 7. That game starts at 8:30 p.m. Now we head over to the track where our nation's youngest athletes will get the chance to show off their talents.
This cherished event is far more than a competition. It is a stepping stone where dreams begin, that raw talent is discovered, young potential is cultivated, and a deep love for sports is ignited in the hearts of our youth.
That's Sports Minister Mario Bolag announcing the first Frank Pancho-Ramming National Primary School track meet. His ministry is partnering with the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute to bring students from across our archipelago in competition and camaraderie. The minister wants everyone to come out and cheer the kids on.
So we're encouraging the Bahamian public to please come out. You will be safe and enjoy the entertainment put on by our young darlings. Once again, thank you.
Now, the meet will be held Tuesday through Thursday at the original Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Head out there if you want to support our youngest athletes. That is a wrap for sports for today. For Our Sports Weekend, I'm Tej Adderley. I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right, thanks so much, Tej. On the other side of this break, a tea party with a purpose. Hear why a Grand Bahama church says it's time the disabled community gets the support it deserves. Stick with us.
Diet-friendly special.
Welcome back and thanks for sticking with us. Making any major weekend plans? Well, you can expect clear skies and sunny weather conditions on this Saturday. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with more details. Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and a happy Saturday evening, everybody. It's a warm evening on the outside. 80 degrees is our current temperature with a few clouds. East winds at 12 miles per hour, so that's going to shave a little bit off the temperature, but your temperature feels still like a very warm 79 degrees. Temperatures around the islands right now, across the northwest Bahamas, 77 in Freeport, Marsh, Great Harbour Key, 78, Alistown, Bimini, also in Governor's Harbour, Nichols, San Andres, 79, Marsh Harbour, Abaco, 76, into the central Bahamas, 80 in Kemps Bay, Georgetown, and Port Nelson, that's in Rum Key, 79, Arthurstown, Cat Island, Black Point, the Exumas, Deadman's Key, Coburn Town, San Salvador, 78, and into the southeast Bahamas, temperatures in the upper 70s there as well, 79, Duncan Town, Ragged Island, Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Matthewtown in Agua, Abrahams Bay, 78, and a pair of 80s, Delectable Bay, and Providenciales, Turks and Caicos Islands. Satellite radar composite, this is how things are setting up right now. We do have a high pressure system across the area, very dry air mass in place, but we do have a little bit of a upper level disturbance near the southeast Bahamas, triggering some showers, but we are watching a frontal boundary that is now draped across the southeastern United States. That's what we expect to get in here by Sunday. Could bring us some showers, and of course we do need some rain because we're in a slight drought. But once that frontal boundary goes through, conditions will be improving. We're looking for some very nice conditions once that goes, that front moves through. Future forecast showing the moisture across the southeast United States. That's Florida in particular. That's going to drop across the area. That upper level disturbance near the southeast Bahamas kicks itself out. By Sunday afternoon, the front should be near the northern Bahamas, and we expect it to linger around. So we're going to continue to keep showers in the forecast through the early part of next week. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knot, seas running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. High tide, low tide 7:43. High tide is at 2 a.m. in the morning. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In the extended forecast, nice conditions tomorrow, but once that front comes through, we increase shower chances. That should take us through Tuesday. But look at those temperatures by the end of next week. Very, very warm, looking like summer. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe weekend, everybody.
All right, thanks so much, Greg. Well, a tea party hosted this afternoon by the Calvary Temple Church Boys and Girls Club in Freeport aimed to do more than just serve refreshments, but to send a clear message: Disabled Lives Matter. Held at Blair House, the event was designed to raise awareness and support for individuals living with disabilities. Each year, Calvary Temple selects a cause to highlight, and this time the focus was on inclusion and compassion for the differently able. During a press conference earlier this week, Senior Pastor Robert Lockhart said the church's goal is to shine a spotlight on the disabled community. Reverend Rochelle Lockhart echoed that sentiment. Cheryl Bain, president of the Northern Bahamas Council for the Disabled, revealed the nonprofit organization has been without a permanent location since last year after spending more than 45 years in the Kipling building.
We assist the disabled with wheelchairs, canes, any disabled stuff that we have that we are donated, we offer it to them. We operate off of the donations. But right now, at this time, we are in plea of an office space. We are looking around and seeking for help and assistance to assist us with this matter. And also with the disabled, we also cater and help them with groceries every other month and any other assistance that we can do for them.
The event by Calvary Temple also honored caregivers like Joseph Rigby, who spent more than 4 decades caring for his wife and the last 14 years supporting his sister. Rigby says the journey isn't easy.
There are times that just moving about on the island, disabled are being not recognized when it comes to parking, or somebody coming out to assist them, and then even with the storm, some disabled persons have still not yet gotten help that they need, and so this would be a good thing if the community could come and lend a hand. Because I know for myself, with Hurricane Dorian, I still need assistance. My wife has been blind. She also had 2 strokes. And I've been dealing with this now for the past 10 years.
All right, if you want to see that story again, it's available now at ournews.bs. And with that, we thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. Have a safe and wonderful evening.